Hello, good evening. Okay, shall we start our lesson for this evening? So good evening, each and everyone. This is our fourth session, and we're going to talk about exception handling. Okay, our objective for this evening is to, number one, explain the logic behind repetition structures. Number two, design and develop appropriate algorithms with exception handling techniques. And number three, appreciate the use of try, catch, finally. So we have here the try, catch, finally, and throw. Before we discuss this, let's have a short introduction of exception handling. So an exception is defined as an event that occurs during the execution of a program. So that is unexpected by the program code. The action to be performed in the case of occurrence of an exception is not known to the program. In such case, we create an exception object and we call it exception handler code. So what does this exception handling code do? This executes the handler so that the program code does not crash whenever it handles the basic operations for compiling. Then exception handling is important because it gracefully handles an unwanted event. Like, for example, an exception so that the program code still makes sense to the user. So if you're using C#, I know that you're not still in the Visual Studio Code environment. Ang code natin is executed on an online IDE. So we have only a limited time or a limited resources about your C# execution handles. Pero if ever we had a programming sa laboratory, I think you will see the difference between exception handling event in an IDE on the internet and the difference to the C# handling exception handler using the Visual Studio Code. So C# provides a constructed or the structured solution to the exception handle in the form of try and catch blocks. So an example natin is a try, catch, finally. So this is only a term wherein it accepts an application to be handled and it prevents crashing of the program in an expected result. So because in the execution of the program, there will be clashes of codes. Now, how are you going to manage this? So we have the try, catch, finally, throw. Now, when we are going to define try means a try block identifier of code which particularly except it is activated or the catch follows blocks. So try means this will be your the first initiation of the code. So we all know that in any programming language, guys, we have the parts of the program. So the parts of the program are the header, the body of the program, and the end. So on the try means this one will be the initiation of the code on the global variables. So it identifies a block of code for a particular exception that is activated. Just like, for example, if you are going to define variables, so you put there int a. So like, for example, letter A is your variable, your int is the initiation for integer execution of the variable. Whereas a catch is a program which catches an exception with a particular exception handling in the place of the program where you want the program to be executed. So there will be the catch keyword which indicates the catching of an exception. So if you're going to define what is a catch is the lines in the program where it actually after the initiation of the program for the variables, it catches the variable into a definition, and that definition is being used by the program so that it will define the remaining elements which is needed to execute the program. Like, for example, your for looping statements. For looping statements, katong last time, the for statement natin, it's a for loop. You will see there a set of increment being measured. So sa amo nga program, it catches siya. So kung sa college algebra ninyo ang mirroring ka variables. So catch na siya. And then finally block is used to execute a given state of statements. This is found on the body of the program. So it houses several codes, not only with the declaration of the variables, not only with the looping statements, but also the code which is useful to the program. So it means it also houses ang several functions, like ang nag-execute within sa inyong part ka program na may open and close braces. And the throw is the end of the program. This is an exception when the problem shows up. It is done using the throw keyboard. So throw keyboard is like just like on the syntax on your module. Kung makita ninyo on page 25, that is an example of the syntaxes of the code. Okay. For your activity 11, what you're going to do is to code. You have coding 111, and then you're going to code 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 lines. So this one, you will see there that you have the an execution for the console, using the console, and then the declaration for the variable, and you're going to write an exception for this. So this is an array statement. Okay, this is an example of your try catch finally. Now let's talk about exception classes. So for exception classes, we have a hierarchy of several functionalities found on the right. Top down, what's this kind of top down approach, and then you will also from bottom up ang sa tunga. And then this one is the cascading exception. So the cascading exception is an example. The example of this is it's similar to your waterfall method sa inyong SDLC. Okay, so when we speak about exceptions in classes, so there are a lot of exceptions for this. The example is found on your module, and actually you have at least 8 exceptions. And these exceptions are represented by classes. And then the classes are found on your system.exception class. And then the system application is being done through system.system-exception. So when we speak about several exception class and description, I hope that you can find it in your module. I hope that you read this. So these are exceptions. The sample of this is system.io.ioe exception. This is the handle for input-output errors. So input-output errors, whatever things that you inputted and being derived for an output. So if you have an error just like that, it means that your error or your class exception will be system.io. So this is a lot of, I will not enumerate this, but to make it short, you have several conjugations for these exceptions are being done on your coding statements. So you will find it out on your activity number 12.a. So because the activity 12.a will require you to what you have seen in the screen is not the complete code, because ang sa module ninyo utod-utod siya. Pero what you're going to do, guys, is to patch this up. Makita nyo man ang the remaining code sa inyong module. So this is an example of your exception. So you can see there sa 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Ika-fifth nga line, you can see their class program colon system.exception. So the system.exception is you can see that on your static void main strings arjs na makita ninyo. So and then sa sulod na kada are the declaration of array nga makita ninyo man sa integer. So gina-enumerate na siya sa inyong array. Wherein ang array ninyo nagbutang 1 to 5 number. So the rest of the code, hindi ko doon mabalaan kaya why siya naka-display dyan. But I think it is understandable that you can use system exception for this kind of program, because whenever you speak of array, it reflects the dimension that you have done on your code. So the structure is basically the same with your kanina. The only difference is that for exceptions, you have to conjugate the subject matter or the variable that is being found. So the variable there will be your integers. Okay, so whatever you can see on the integer declaration, that will be your variable. All right. Sige. So I think that is all on my presentation for this evening. Guys, we have only 2 topics, so it's very easy that you can, I think it's good if you, guys, you attend the lecture just like this, because just like this one, because for the code that for the module lang, if you're going to lang sa module, I cannot explain to you all the details for the variable. Medyo dalming na siya, guys. I think we don't need to actually padalman gid ang coding. What all you have to do is to understand the concept behind it. Kung ano yung ginatawag natin exception handling or exception code, or whatever, kung array gani siya sa exception code, ano yung bot ng balon kada sa C# natin ng program. So you're going to put on a certain boundary when you are going to understand the lesson. All right. Okay, I don't know, guys, if you have a background in programming yet for other languages, but basically for any other language, maskin ano pa da siya, Java, C# or any other language, the code structure is of course it's not the same, pero the concept behind it, ang pag-declare ka variable, ang pag-ano ka value is the same lang siya kung intindihan ninyo. So ang pamangkot lang gid is how are you going to use it on your setting na sa coding whenever you are going to code. It's okay if mga amo lang kada nga lines, mga 20 to 25 lines lang kay kamugot kada guys. Mahapo siya intindihan, dugin na encapsulate lang bala nato, no. Although may other topic, it has encapsulation, kaya ang encapsulation is specialty man da ka coding. Maskin sa ibang nga lengguwahe. That will be sa after after midterm. May mga encapsulation ka mga matabo sa pag natin ka variable sa C#. Pero what I mean about encapsulation is this one that you're as a code nga you will see the code as a whole, not nga line by line. So that you can observe the structure niya, ang declaration kagang iban. Makita nyo man sa code natin color coding siya. So, lagay lain-lain ang color niya. Maskin gani guys, kamo, di ba? Sa IDE ninyo, mag-encode sa mga, magsulat kamo ka-code bala. Ang color ka-code ng galain. Lain ang sa integer, lain ang sa, ang sa variable, lain sa declaration, lain. Ang declaration bali is ang int nga pag-declare ka variable, ang int kada is integer, meaning counting number. So may dyan pagkikita mo ginatawag ng character sa are your letters siya. May dyan man nga boolean, ang boolean ninyo is combination of letters and numbers. So those are the things that you need to remember. Anyway, the code is there, and then what you're going to do is to transpose the code, meaning to say encode nyo sa inyong yes, Jessie Jane, do you have any question? Jess, do you have any question?
No, sir. No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Sige. So, back to our discussion sa coding ninyo, guys. If you see the module, by the way, the module are still available pa, no? I still have 6 copies. Basta gusto nyo module, guys. Iba siya nabudlayan ka mo mag-coding sa classroom. You can get the module there. I think I only have 6. Ang 3 may nakatratod ako. 3 na lang ang bilin. So, na-print ko siya. May bilin pa. So, pwede niyong bulon sa Monday, or I don't know if I can go to school tomorrow. Maybe sa hapon. Hindi pa sure. Kaya our duty is only from Monday to Wednesday until today lang. So, tomorrow is our rest day. And Friday, rest day man. Sa Monday naman. Pero I don't know if I can go to school. I will just update you guys sa GC if I can go there sa eskwelahan tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow morning sigurado ako hindi ko kabalik. Hindi ko kabalik tomorrow morning. Pag siguro afternoon pwede pa siguro. May chance nga depende. Kung sa afternoon kung matapos kong trabaho di sa balay kasi anyway naga-obraman ko maskin di ako sa balay. However, I don't have any printer here so kung may i-print ako to sa school so muda. Pero kung kabalik ako sa hapon, I will just tell you so that you can come to school mabuol to ka module ninyo. Actually nakatrato doon ko sa 3 ka bata sa classmate man ninyo. So I think I still have 3 more to dispose. And it's good man siguro if you have the module kay you can mabasa-basahon ka mong balaw. Kagi para mabalik-balikan ninyo yung code. Otherwise, kung sa classroom na ka mo masalig basi Pero I cannot give you all guys ha. Ang sobra lang. Kaya una ko ang mga classmate niyo hindi ka online Or maybe guys, if you still have any inquiries or maybe you missed out on the lecture, I think you can go to the YouTube channel. I will be posting the link later on. So you don't need to go to YouTube, pero a link is there sa GC natin. So what you're going to do is to click lang yun, and then if you want, it will direct you to the channel, and then you can watch also this one, the lecture for this evening. So kung parang maintindihan niyo kung ano yung lecture na to or sa Okay, I know guys nga do ka foreign gid kaday, especially if you're first year, right? Because I don't know if you're coding sa dapat kung high school ka mo may coding na May coding na maskin elementary pa lang gani code dun dapat. Naga-code na kamo para nga paglabot niyo sa college mapost lang kaninyo mag yung pag-intindi ka ng structure ka codes. Hindi na kamo mag-start sa puno. Ang lang gid intindihan ninyo mag-jump from one language to another is the transposition of the code. Kay lain-lain guys nga programming languages, although similar ang concepts, lain-lain ang tsura niya, ang structure. So hindi ka man kada magsala, hindi kon maanad ka mag-program. That's why if you'll notice ang nato ng subject natin is pure coding gid. Kay basically, this will hone your skills sa mga naton subjects naton sa next nga mga semesters niyo, mag second year ka mo, mag third year. So this will be laying out the fundamentals for your coding. May ma-code pagit ka mo kada guys sa iba ninyong subject. So what's important with doing your job right now is to understand it and basically apply it to practical solutions later on. So, di ninyo dyan gamiton. Pwede niyo gamiton sa mag-code ka mo sa desktop applications. Kay ang gamiton nato ng C# today, gamiton man naton gyapon sa pero advanced nga topics na lang. So instead nga daya nga daw practice lang. Tuyang pwede ka mo kagamit ka console at the same time ang console bala. Console is different from if you were to talk about console, it's like you can think about your PlayStation, PCs, PC games, and all other nga NES nga nag-require ka ng emulation, mga emulators ninyo guys. So those are consoles. So basically, if you will transpose it to, if you will, you'll apply it to other devices, you can see that if you're going to code on PC, for example, for the PC, you can also do that to other platforms like cell phone. Kung ano tsura. Kailain ang dimensions ka screen ka cellphone sa laptop kag sa PC. Or although ang PC kag ang laptop similar sanda, medyo pareho. Ang cellphone different gid siya. Kailain ang screen size niya kag ang niya. So all of those things are made useful if you're going to code for the desktop. Although medyan ka mo guys nga subject ang mobile application man. Hindi doon ako kadayat teacher ninyo lain naman. Ang obrahon ninyo tinyo kalto is you're going to develop a mobile application. So later on basi magamit niyo sa mga thesis ninyo below. Like sa iba ninyo nga applications nga imo. Kay ang subong is for now what we're going to do is to lay out the foundation for coding. So just like that, supposedly C# is very friendly, but you need to understand the basic codes, coding structure, and the example that we're going to give you. So that's all about it. When you go back to our topic, for exception handling, the exception handling is just mitigating your errors. So we have as the so-called exceptions. These are exceptions na ano ninyo, kung natawanan niyo bala guys ang ano ninyo, ang module, ang siyam ka exception nga ang modaya nga naga-define ka error nga makita ninyo sa console or sa anang compiler. Kaya ang code ninyo hindi mag-run kung hindi niyo anay mo-compile. Ano yung difference between compiling and running? You can research that on the internet. However, when you speak about compiling, ginabasa ka computer ninyo guys ang code ninyo from sa pinakaunang line hasta sa dalom. That's why ang structure ka program natin guys is top to bottom. Amo na siya. And then ang separator natin is your semicolon. Naga-separate ang semicolon sa isa ka line. So meaning after mag-code ka mo sa isa ka line nga mo kada, if you're going to press the semicolon, that will be your separator and then it means another line. Sa dalom naman ang supon niya. So isa nga amo daang why are we coding in horizontal and vertical and horizontal lines na halin sa babaw padalom. This is vertical. Para sang katurok mo lang guys, you can actually decipher or you can see the structure of the code. Makaman-an nyo lagi kung ano ya ginaobra ninyo, kung ano ya dang sa isa nyo lang kapag turok la. Makita nyo lagi ang tanan-tanan, ang variables, ang declaration, ang separator kung ano nga statement, pati mga increments na kag-decrements or ang value ka variable ang gin-declare ninyo. Or kung ano ya guwa na sa input kag sa output. Like for example, in some programs, if you say printf, that is output. When you scan f, it's input. So those are the lines that you need to remember. Scan f, printf, the mga pareho kadablaw. Pero sa aton nga code, naging ano naton de, sa example naton, I think in 4 using classes. So those are the things that you need to remember. Okay, so the color codes are to define what will be your interpretation. So it means to say that you're in one setting you'd be able to conjugate within the directions, just like if you paano sir mag-compile. So usually sa coding actually compiling is done before running. So kung sa IDE ninyo isa lang na siya ang compiler kag ang run ka program yun isa do lang nanda. It's either you are going to press F4 or F5 or you're going to use to click the play button. So something like that. So before running gina-compile niya, ginabasa. So paano man bala kaninyo, paano mo maintindihan kung ano natabo sa ginabasa mga libro kung hindi mo na pagbasahon ng libro? Okay, so ang coding design man siya guys. Hindi nyo pwede maparan ang program kung hindi nyo na pagsulaton kag-intindihon kung ano ginasulatin nyo. Kaya ang computer niyo guys, mango da guys, nga device. Depende lang sa code nga ano ninyo. Why does that isip? Although ang computer naton is powerful machine, kaya it can compute up to several digits, several equations, several variables. Pwede gid. Pero depende pa man gyapon ng computer ninyo sa input nga ginabutang mo. Sa code nga ginaano mo siya. So kung hindi mo manduan ang computer, hindi na siya magsunod kanimo. What I mean is, if ever there's no code that he can read, it means it cannot interpret any coded messages. So amo lang that's why you need to code it na. Hasta tulad, why pat kita although may automation doon nga ginatawag, may automation means to say nga self-independent na siya nga machine ang automation, ang automata kay kaugalingon na lang pwede na ma-follow ang kung anong gusto niya. Do pareho man ka inyo, may will kamo ginatawag, may self-will kita nga kung ano gusto nyo or nahangpan ninyo, mabuhat ninyo. Ang computer wala na siya, amo kada. Ang computer ninyo is basically a tool, a box, empty. So basically it really needs your command or your any input that you can do to your computer, to your laptop, and then that's the time nga ibasahon niya kag i-interpret. So ang paano garing guys nga nga maintindihan ang code kung sala ang code ninyo nga tao ka na. So paano ninyo ma-mitigate? That's why nga gina-compile nyo anay siya. Para nga hambalan na ikaw, oops, may error. Oops, hindi galit sakto yung mo kanakon. Base amo day pag-intindi mo. So ginatawaan ikaw ka option. Base amo day bot mambalon. So kay may language barrier kita guys eh. Your computer cannot understand English or maskin letter A gani, hindi na siya kaintindi guys eh. If you're going to, like for example, pinduton nyo ang letter A, ang small letter A sa keyboard or sa key sa inyong laptop, hindi na kaintindi ang computer nyo. Ang naintindihan na kada is ang ones kag zeros behind letter A. Kay may ginatawag kita nga assembly language. Ang ginaobra naton sa command is high level language da. Ang software, nga kind of software, ang C# nga program or any other program, mga higher level na sila nga language. So ano yung imo kaya ano yung ginaobra ka compiler ninyo? So your compiler and your run statements ginasara na kada ang lengguwahe nga marapit ka na kag gina-transpose na sa inyong machine language yung maintindihan ka computer ninyo. So it means to say paagi sa IDE nyo, you can actually code, and whenever that code is being run or being compiled, that's the time that is being digested by your computer. So go back to our exception handling. These are mitigating errors or these are measures. Ang exception handling is just a measure nga para ya error mabalik na kanimo kag mangpan mo kung sala gali. Sala spelling ko. So islan ko anay. So nagapula, or usually paano ginadetect ka error para makita nyo, may correct na siya. It's either red or green. Kung green gani guys, ang green nga okay na siya pero may gamay lang nga sala or lain ang grammar niya. Or lain ang structure ka program na. Kung pula gani nga color ang makita nyo sa underline ka code, sala gina siya. So you have to change it. So it's either the error is found on that line, sa line nga or sa line sa babaw or sa dalom. Or base na kulangan ka lang ka syntax. Ang syntax is ang semicolon nga or ang symbol na pwede ninyo ibutang sa code. Base sala, instead abi ka plus na imo minus, do mo kada. Just like for example, if you mean increment or nagapasaka or naga-count ka mo 1 to 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it means nga plus na siya eh sa code. So what if abi halin sa bigger number going down from reverse? Di syempre ga minus eh. So that amo da yung mga indicators bilang nga ginatawag. So the same thing with your exception handling. For your handling of the program, which is sometimes kay tawo ka lang, hindi ka perfect. Mag-code ka, nagasala man eh. Nagasala ang boot mo balon, sala man ang pag-interpret, sala man ang structure ka program. Why semicolon, why integer, why counting number, why na-enclose sa parentheses, or why na-enclose sa bracket. So, lain ang namin, abi ka nagkaka-enclose sa bracket, kag naka-enclose sa parentheses. Those are two different things. If you mean slash, double slash, it means another thing. So double slash means comment. Ang nakahouse sa parentheses ninyo, ang variable lang. Ang sa sa bracket, bot ng balon, start na siya ka program. Ang close bracket, end of the program. So those are things that you need to understand. The only problem with the pandemic nga online session guys is hindi ko pwede kaninyo ma-explicar it mayad kung ano ang sa program. Yan lang kanaton is nag-jump lang taton diretso sa coding without do pareho lang ang bago kamo nga natawo gintagbong do kamo sa swimming pool kag nagsalom-salom. Although amo man daya ginahimo ka mga doktor kun bag-o ay iya bata ta na hindi na malumos, makamaan na siya magbalanse kalawas na maskin bag-ong punag ang bata. Ang why abi don kita time nga ma-explain ko kaninyo kung ano namin kadang semicolon, kung ano namin kadang why man kamo abi man dayon gapamangkot kung ano daya. Gina-assume ko lang guys nga nakaagi doon kamo ka code nga nang may natun-an kamo kadang first sem o kadang first sem. Oo, kadang first sem nga amo kada hay naga-coding man kamo mo. So tama abi ka technical kag duro abi yadang code nga yadang mga parts ka program nga dapat naton intindihon. Amo lang da. If ever you don't understand, please ask it so that I can explain. Sir, what is the purpose of a semicolon? Sir, what is the purpose of int? Sir, what is the purpose of those are the things that I need to interpolate to you so that I can pareho balay we are on the same page. Pareho ang pag-intindi naton sa amo kadablaw nga butang or a sitwasyon. So I think amo da kaya na-notice ko guys, why kamo gapamangkot mo. Naisip ko man nga, that is one siguro of the reasons why you cannot ask question because you don't understand what is the purpose of ano ang structure ka code, ano ya int, ano ya daya. So if you guys, if you request me to like for example explain to you what is that or what is this, I can do that also. So that we're on the same page, guys. Otherwise, basa-basa gid kamo guys ka reference materials. The reference materials are found on your syllabus. Nakalista na to. If you download your syllabus sa references nga part sa dalom gid sa pinakalikod na siguro mga page 11 or 12 something. You can find the references, copy paste the link, and then sa URL ninyo i-post, magwa na diyan. Pangitaan ninyo ang reference kada, and then you read, basahon ninyo. So that is supplemental also. That is supplemental guys. Kay I was thinking about to create a website gani mo so that you can actually the library bala nga type. Pero I don't have any time abi guys. I'm sorry. I am very busy with in the morning. I still have extension work to do and several other things pa. So if you go there to sa sa faculty room, maybe I have something nga ginahimo or why gid ga yung buli, gainit yung buli nga why may ginaobra. So it's either I'm printing the modules or I'm doing extension work or whatever. So I that's the problem. I still have to find time enriching your reference materials. Pero if ever I can find materials, I will post there sa ninyo sa Google Classroom so that you can download. And then you can read, mabasahan ninyo guys. Regarding sa C# siguro. So all of these things are necessary for you to understand the coding sequences. Although the structure of C# is somewhat similar to other programming languages, just like C++ and C. Supposedly ang C kag ang mga C# na sa high school pa lang guys ginatudlo da kaninyo para maano ninyo pag-abot ninyo sa kolehiyo, mapos to lang guys mag-migrate sa another language. But anyway, questions kid. Please ask questions tonight. If ever you cannot understand anything or so that I can supplement whatever learning that you can have, especially sa module ninyo guys. Any questions, people of the world? 11 people, 12 na ang nagsulod, tulad. I commend those guys nga naga-effort gid nga mag-attend ka lecture naton. If you cannot guys, hindi nyo malikawan gid nga hindi ka attend, it's okay. Pero please lantawan ninyo guys ang YouTube video na kadaya ka lecture. Or pwede nyo mabalik-balikan dito kung ano yung ginapangwakal naman na ginawakal naton sa tulad nga ano guys, sa lecture, sa lesson natin for this evening. Okay, para masulit-sulit ninyo pamati or pwede ninyo maano. Okay, do you have any questions for tonight? First year questions?
No, sir, no, sir.
Okay, sige. I assume nga na at least maintindihan man ninyo guys ha. Ay hindi ko gusto nga magtapos lang isa. Hindi ka mo kahawid maskin gamay nga ano nga lesson nga maintindihan. Okay? Okay, sige. If ever you don't have any questions, please jot down your attendance text box. You can jot down your attendance. And then that's all for tonight. Please, I don't know if you finish with the activity, but the deadline will be on Friday pa man. So you still have time to okay. So thank you, Jaya, Jesse, Daniel, Gloria, Vivian. Thank you so much. John, Christian. Thank you, Joshua, John Paul, Jeremy. Who else? Who else pa nga nag-attendance?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome. Good evening, Ged, kaninyo. Yapon ka mo doon. Si Dennis, kag si Lovely. Si Lorelie. Si Jaira. Good evening. Thank you, Ged, guys, sa pag-attend ka session naton for this evening. Si Daniel Faith, sandaya una kaina di si Daniel kag si Lor. Guro si Lorly. Sanda nga duwa yung una kaina nga nagsulod. Okay, so thank you guys. Good evening, Ged. Si Marge. Marge, good evening. So thank you guys.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening. So thank you. Okay, sige. I-off ko na ang ang recording.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.